conference, I want to give a huge thank you to all the people of Liverpool. You gave us such a warm welcome. You're rightly proud of your magnificent city, and we're proud of Labour's role in its transformation. But people are worried here and throughout the country, worried about their job, worried about the prospect for their kids, about what's going to happen in their local area. And there is only one party leader who understands that, and it isn't Nick Clegg. And it certainly isn't David Cameron. It's our Labour leader, Ed Miliband. He spoke up for the squeezed middle, and he's right. He's understood people's fears for their children and their aspiration for them too. He shares their anger that the bankers are getting off scot-free, and he said that as Prime Minister he would end reckless irresponsibility from the bottom right to the top. And Ed was the first party leader to speak up against the abhorrent phone hacking. Ed took on Murdoch and won. I hear the phone hacking is going to be made into a film, Hackgate, the movie. One of the leading roles, of course, is Chris Bryant. That has been relatively easy to cast. It's obviously Daniel Craig. There's one problem, though, and it's a huge headache for the casting director. They just can't find anyone with enough raw magnetism to play our very own Tom Watson. But all the time that Murdoch has been in the headlines, another crisis has been going on as people see the economic storm clouds gathering. And today we heard about the terrible job losses at BAE Systems. All around the country, behind their front doors, people are worried. Behind the front door of Downing Street, the Tories are oblivious. It's not going to affect them, so it doesn't matter. They're so removed from people's lives. But I hear they do watch TV from time to time, and I hear they love Downton Abbey. The only problem is they think it's a fly-on-the-wall documentary. They never need to do their own dirty work. Why would they? They've got Nick Clegg and the Lib Dems to do that. Now, the Lib Dems boast, you'll have heard it, you've heard of them saying they are a brake on the Tories. So what happened then on tuition fees, on VAT, on police cuts, on the NHS? Clearly, the brakes failed. But there's no doubt who's in the driving seat. It's clear who's at the wheel, and this time it's not Chris Hume, it's the Tories. But on the rare occasions when the Lib Dems in government do get their way, what do? They make it harder for local communities to get CCTV, and they force the police to destroy DNA evidence, which is vital for convicting criminals. And the Lib Dems, to their eternal shame, are colluding with the Tories in changing the law on the electoral register. The plans the Tories have set out are going to push people off the electoral register, deny them their voice and deny them their vote. The numbers are going to be huge. The Independent Electoral Commission warn that this could deny millions of people in this country the right to vote. And the Tories are doing it because they hope it will help them win the election. That is a shameful assault on people's democratic rights, and we will expose it and campaign against it. You know, Parliament has no right to take away people's right to vote, and the government cannot be allowed to get away with it. As we look to the year ahead, as more people suffer from the Tories, as fewer people trust the Lib Dems, The political map is changing and Labour's activists are mobilising. We are going to make strong challenges in councils and in constituencies all over the country, including areas where we think that before we didn't have a chance. There is no place for the old orthodoxies of no-go areas for Labour. In every election from now on, it will be access all areas. And we'll fight as a united team, our party members, strengthened by our 65,000 members who've joined us since the general election, our Labour members of the European Parliament, led by our brilliant Glenis Willmott over here, our Labour councillors, our dedicated Labour parliamentarians in Westminster, Holyrood and Cardiff, and our trade union friends. And I want to congratulate our 800 new Labour councillors, 450 seats taken from the Lib Dems and 350 taken from the Tories. There are now many more. So there are now many more Labour councils, and they are protecting people, like Southwark Council, helping families with the squeeze on their living standards by free school meals for all primary school children. And even where we only have one Labour councillor on a council, they make a difference. Like Mike Lassurf in Brentwood Council, campaigning against the cuts of 25 beds in the Brentwood Community Hospital. Just one man, but making a difference for the whole area. And we need more. The two Eds both acknowledged what we all know, that not everything we did in government turned out right. And people need to know that over the past year, we've taken a hard look at what we did and we've learnt lessons. But it's time now to move on, because we've got important work to do. You know, when it comes to Sure Start children's centres, we've got to fight to stop them closing. When it comes to the 50p tax rate, we've got to say now is not the time to drop it. When it comes to saving lives in the developing world, we've got to make the Tories keep our aid budget. When it comes to the NHS, we've got to defend it. This week has seen debate and discussion of Labour people all across the country. I want to say to our Welsh delegates how proud we are of the work of Carwyn Jones and his team in the Welsh Assembly. And I want to say too how much our hearts go out to the families of the 4 Welsh miners and to the family of the Yorkshire miner who died this week, men who worked hard in difficult conditions and who tragically lost their lives. Our thoughts are with them and their families. We've heard this week about the process of renewal underway in Scottish Labour, and I'd like to pay tribute to Ian Gray. Ian's passionate speech at this conference shows he is the best First Minister Scotland never had. This week, we've had a sharp focus on our campaign for the Greater London Assembly and for Mayor of London. Now, what does Tory Boris Johnson stand for? Higher fares for Londoners, lower tax for bankers. Let's face it, Boris is in it for himself. Labour's Ken Livingstone is in it for London, and we say, yes, we can. The spirit and enthusiasm of refounding Labour has run throughout this conference, and we go forward with a new supporters network, a more powerful role for local councillors, the historic decision, a first for any British political party, to always have a woman in our leadership team, the brilliant innovation of our Shadow Defence Secretary Jim Murphy to have Labour Friends of the Forces, and a stronger voice for young people in our party. And we've heard many of those voices this week. Many at our conference for the first time, some as young as 16, speaking with such conviction. With the Tory Lib Dem attack on the Future Jobs Fund, on EMA, on tuition fees, the government have hit the prospects for young people, but young people are hitting back. We've seen here this week the dynamic new generation of young Labour. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Ray Collins, our very own blonde bombshell. Ray stepped into the role of General Secretary at a really difficult time. He stepped up to the plate with tremendous passion for the party. We'll miss Ray. He's put the party on a sound footing and built a foundation which Ian McNicol will build on. We look forward to working with you in the future, Ian. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who has worked so hard to make everything this week go like clockwork. The party staff and volunteers, the porters and the stewards, our own Red Army. Thank you very much indeed. This week has been a turning point. Ed has shown his bold and optimistic vision of the future. We've challenged the unspoken orthodoxies that have governed Britain for too long, and we've refounded our party so we can be a force that changes people's lives. Conference, let's go for it.